Hey guys, welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm going to talk about 5 reasons why you're not making any friends in your life. But before I do that, I just want to preface this by saying something really quickly. I understand that in 2024, post-pandemic and all that kind of stuff, it's become very difficult and challenging to make friends. So I totally understand that. I'm with you on that. However, these 5 reasons will lower your chances of failing. So regardless of the circumstances that you're finding yourself in, applying these principles and understanding them will help you to increase your chances of finding meaningful friendships with others. So, what are those 5 reasons? Let's get started. Reason number 1, you are self-centered. This one should be easy, right? It's easy to fall into this trap, especially in our Western society, where we're constantly taught to think about ourselves first and put ourselves first above everyone else and above everything else. So make sure that you are careful about that, because it's easy to fall into the self-reliance and independence mindset, which can be a good thing. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be independent and self-sufficient. However, when it becomes too much and you take it to the extreme, it can lead you to be unaware of how your behavior is affecting others, and you're not going to be aware of what other people want, which is crucial for you to know how to build that friendship with them. So you cannot treat the wants of other people as irrelevant. You have to be socially clued in order for you to know how to build friendships with other people, to realize what they like and what they don't like. And when you're self-centered, it's very hard to do that because you're only occupied with what you think and what you want. So make sure that you keep that in your mind. Okay, sign number 2. You care too much about what other people think of you. Now, it's easy to do that as well. And I speak from experience because that is something that I struggled with for the longest part of my life. I used to care way too much about what people thought about me, so much so that even one day I was having a huge headache because all those thoughts were just running in my mind. It signified to me that I really just had no standards for who I wanted to come into my life and who I didn't want to come into my life. And that was giving off a vibe of desperation, which most people find unattractive. This doesn't mean that you're unworthy, obviously. So I just want to make that clear, that just because you struggle with this issue doesn't mean that you don't deserve love, friendship, and compassion. What I'm trying to say is that it's going to hinder you from building a healthy relationship with others. And it's going to make it less likely for you to be interdependent as opposed to codependent, which codependence is usually not a good thing. It'll lead you to be feeding off of each other and never really just helping each other out and lifting each other up when it comes to your friendship, which is what friendship is really supposed to be anyways. Sign number 3, you are rude, inconsiderate, insensitive, etc. Fill in the blank. This one should be obvious, but a lot of people don't realize it, especially in today's society in 2024. Rude people, at least in my opinion, are the worst. Have you ever been around someone who's rude? How do you feel around them? It's probably not good, right? Which is not very surprising, because rude people are unpleasant to be around. And if you find them to be pleasant, it's most likely because you yourself are a rude person. Let's just keep it 100%, shall we? If you want to have healthy relationships with healthy people, you have to cut down the rudeness and be more considerate and more sensitive towards other people's needs. So this doesn't mean that you need to be a softie and go in the other extreme and be overly sensitive. But what that means is you have a proper gauge on how you interact with others. So you're able to engage in a sort of give and take with others without taking away too much or giving away too much. So it's more or less somewhere in the middle. It's hard for a rude person to do that because usually rude people, which ties into point number one, they only think about themselves and they only want to spread negativity, and nobody really wants to be around someone who's negative. Negativity sucks the air out of the room, and that's what rude people generally are. Now, sign number 4 might shock you guys, but it's you are either too introverted or too extroverted. Let's talk about the introverts first, shall we? First of all, no extreme is good. Either being extremely introverted or extremely extroverted. Extremes generally don't work. When you're too introverted, people tend to assume that you're stuck up and that you're full of yourself. And believe me, I'm not just speaking from a high position. I have been in this situation myself multiple times, and I had to work on myself to make sure that I present myself in a way that is appropriate and respectful, even though that's not really my intention to be disrespectful, but generally my face is more on the serious side. I have a more stoic look in my face, and so it repelled a lot of people, and I wasn't really sure why that was happening, but I realized that my facial expressions were too serious and I was way too reserved, and that was preventing me from connecting with others. You can't expect others to constantly understand you because, newsflash, most people, or just all people, are not mind readers. Even for me as a psychologist, I don't read minds. I need to know what others are thinking, and the way that I find that out is by them having that communicated with me in the appropriate manner. So we cannot psychoanalyze others. If you want to make friendships and you're too introverted, I know that hurts, but this is the truth. Now let's talk about people who are too extroverted. So people who are too extroverted, they can come off as too confident and too competent, which some people might wonder, well, what's wrong with that? Isn't that a good thing? That I'm very confident and self-assured of myself? Well, the problem with that is you're going to come off as an arrogant prick, which is something that most people don't like to deal with unless they themselves are arrogant pricks. But if you want to be around people who are respectful and kind, then you have to make sure that you are attuned to other people's needs and wants. And notice how all of these signs are building on each other and they're interdependent with one another. So a happy medium is always good. And the good news is you don't have to be perfect. So I don't want you to have the takeaway message from this video to be me telling you that you have to be perfect in order for you to have friendships. Nobody is perfect. Everybody's flawed. We're all sinners. We're all, as the Bible says, fallen short of the glory of God. So you don't have to put that pressure on yourself. But what I will say is you must be able to control yourself and be sensitive to other people's needs. And last but not least, sign number 5 is you have nothing to say or you're just plain old boring. Think about a boring person. How many of you guys like someone who's boring? I know I don't. Boring people just suck the life out of you. They're not very interesting people. They don't have anything to say. They have no interest in their lives and they lack substance. That's why it's very important that if you want to be someone who is interesting and engaging, you have to have some sort of substance. You have to have something that you are willing to offer to others in terms of emotional value. I'm not talking about giving people money to talk to you because that's not a good thing, but you have to be able to know how to build emotional intimacy and connection with others, and one of the ways to do that is to have something to offer by talking about something that's interesting. And one of the ways to do that is by having hobbies. Personally, for me, one of my hobbies is foreign languages. I can currently speak 4 languages, Assyrian, Arabic, English obviously, and Spanish. And I'm learning more languages because to me that is something that's very interesting. I've always found foreign cultures, foreign languages very fascinating, and I plan to travel someday, especially to Latin America, so I can be able to practice my language skills and build connections with others and explore different cultures. That's very interesting. But if you have nothing at all going on in your life and all you do is scroll on your phone, play video games, smoke weed, don't do anything with your life, it's very hard for you to be an interesting individual. So just something to keep in mind. There you have it, guys. These are the 5 signs that will prevent you from making friendships in your life. I will make another video on how to acquire friendships with others and how to build friendships that are meaningful and long-lasting, because I understand that in today's society it's very difficult for so many people to build friendships, and so many people are feeling lonely, especially among the younger generations, whether it's teens or young adults or even sometimes younger than that. Even older people sometimes experience loneliness, but these principles generally apply to everyone regardless of age, race, religion, etc., etc. I hope you guys found this video very helpful. If you like it, make sure to comment, share, like the video, subscribe, and hopefully I'll be able to make more content that will help you guys, because really that's what I want to do with my YouTube channel, is to help others to improve themselves. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.